Everybody. Today we're talking with Justin, who hates cooked spinach and loves Ampersand Ice Cream in Fresno. His nickname is Jaybird, and he's never had a bad job unless you count the one as a substitute teacher. He can multiply two-digit numbers in his head and wishes he was from the future. He knows everything that's ever happened in the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons, so ask him anything. Today we're talking to him about his travels to movie locations. So welcome, Justin.
Hey, good to have you. That's quite an intro. I forgot I said any of those things.
Exactly.
Good for us.
So much fun.
Yeah, that's great. So thanks for joining us. We're going to start our famous 7-minute timer and tell us about your passion for movie locations, Justin.
Movie locations are awesome because you get to go to a place that you would not normally get to go to because other people are paying for it. And by definition, they almost always have to be beautiful and interesting and intriguing as places. So it's like built in the fact that you're going to go to somewhere cool.
That's amazing.
So how do you find out about these places? How do you find the locations that you actually go visit?
A lot of times you're trying to aim for a place and an idea and a feeling, and then you have to choose two or three possible places, or maybe even more than that, and you end up at a different place than what you thought you were going to be. But oftentimes, as is with movie sort of happenstance, it turns out better, or at least you convince yourself that it was better after all. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because either way it feels better. And that's usually how it works in movie location land.
Yeah. So what's the most unique place you've ever been?
When we went on safari, that was awesome. So that was in Kenya, and that was great. We went on a couple different safaris in a place called Loisaba, and I'm forgetting some of the other ones right now. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, it was through Microsoft for people who had points through the Microsoft system. Then you could take those points and enter into a sweepstakes so that they could win this once in a lifetime safari adventure. So that's cool because they got to win, and it was like a big deal to them. Some stuff that you would win on like the Wheel of Fortune, that sort of thing, right? Like getting a little card on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I got to go hang out, so it was.
That's cool.
That's amazing. So when you travel to these places, can you tell us about an interesting encounter with another person or a celebrity? Have you run into somebody interesting that you can share with us?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I've definitely had some interactions to where I was in a completely different country and I saw someone I know from Fresno. Like that's happened for sure at the airport. Wow. Yeah. And I've also, what was I going to say? Oh, I made friends. One of the cool things is just making friends that I'm still friends with on Facebook. I went to, it wasn't specifically for a movie location, but we were in London so that we could go to a film festival for a movie that we had shot in Thailand and a variety of places. And we were there. And anyway, so I had some free time after the festival was over, and so I hung out at a local pub. I was like, I want to go to a pub and I want to watch soccer. I don't like soccer at all, but I'm going to go to a pub and watch soccer. And I did that, and I met some people there, and it was great. And so we're still friends on Facebook and still interact and all that, which is just a cool thing. And it's good too to be able to get people. I think it's very easy to get mired in your own ecosystem, in your own echo chamber, especially on Facebook and places like that. So anytime you can have foreign people to be friends with, then they often offer a unique perspective that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that is so true and important to have those interactions. So have you ever visited any of these locations completely alone, or are they always group things?
I usually find time to go do something alone while I'm on location for other reasons. So for instance, when we went to Japan, one of the multiple trips we've done to Japan, I went hiking by myself. Nantai is the name of the mountain. Nantai-san. So san means like mountain.
Yeah.
I think so. Nantai-san. In that. I don't think it means exactly that, but whenever they talk about mountains, it always does. But anyway, we went to that. I went hiking on that, and that was great to be able to like have that experience by myself while the other 9 or 10 people or whatever that we went with were going and doing their own thing. So I think I think you have those little micro opportunities to carve out your entire day that is separate from everyone else's on your day off or whatever, which can be very revelatory and just a a unique time within that whole container of a trip, which is great.
So do you have any suggestions for people who kind of want to follow along and go to these locations that you've been to? Is there other people who want to travel to specific movie venues?
I mean, it's very, very broad to say on something like that, but I would say always carve out time. A lot of times what I remember from a trip, oddly enough, is like, say we went to Philadelphia for, we were doing a movie or whatever in Philadelphia. And I know that I remember just like hanging out in the park. There was this, like a central park of sorts, and just spending 2 hours just like chilling and just sort of staring, looking at the people, absorbing it a little bit. I think people naturally sort of want to pack in as much as possible to any excursion they go on to, or they want to do the exact opposite, which is I'm just going to hang out on a beach and do nothing. And I think there's a happy middle ground that you can find to where you get to like soak it in a little bit. And that's not something that's abundantly clear how you do that without just doing it and just like not having a thing to do for a couple hours. So anyway, that's one thing I would offer to people, like just be in a cafe with the coffee or whatever you like and just like experience it without having to do something.
Right. And that is great advice, Justin, because I think that is true wherever you are. You could be in what you maybe is considered the most mundane location in the world, but people are fascinating, right? So you get there and the whole watching of people can be the best part of the trip and actually feeling like you're really in the place, if that makes sense. I can hear what you're talking about, and I know exactly what you're describing, that like letting go and being there and being present is a pretty beautiful experience. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are, that's a beautiful experience.
Absolutely. And it's super hard to decide to be present when you have these magical things in your hands, or there's just like you're constantly barraged by all this other types of media and things grabbing your attention. And I think it's important. I think it's important too, like not only to look at people, but just like you don't have to go to the Guggenheim Museum to look at the architecture. You can look at the architecture in a little pub or a little cafe or a little whatever it is in another country, and you can get something out of that. And I think there's like literally tens of thousands of years of thought built into how things are built. And so I think even if you don't give a damn about architecture or any of the home design or whatever it happens to be, I think there's something beautiful about like, look at all this knowledge that happened to enable me to be in this place right now. That's sort of wonderful.
There's a 7 minutes. We were just getting into some
I know, I was just getting into, I know. Well, really quick, I have to throw this in there. If you can try to, it's probably hard. Cindy and I have a huge list of where to next. What is one place you would love to visit next?
I want to go to Iceland. That's been on our list. Yeah, that seems like a really cool place, both photographically and to see. It's just such a microcosm. It's such a small place, big, great, geographically small population wise, but has that's where you go to shoot a movie that doesn't look like it's on Earth.
Right. Yeah. That's great.
And I have been to Iceland and I can concur. Most of the landscape in Iceland does not look like you're on Earth at all. And literally we drove and from 20-minute to the next, it's like we're on another planet. We're on another planet. It's just amazing.
Fabulous.
So, yeah, put that on your list and go. It's beautiful.
Go, definitely. So that's our 7 minutes. Thank you so much, Justin, for coming on and sharing your places and travels. Cindy and I have a new question and answer series, so check the link below and send us your travel questions. And thanks, Justin, and travel with us through real stories from real people.
Absolutely. Thank you.